How's it going, everyone? My name is Eric. Welcome to my channel. Right off the bat here, I'm just going to say that I'm relatively new to this Wyckoff theory and trends. I just find it interesting, and I noticed some correlations that may or may not be playing out right now. So I just wanted to talk about it and see what people thought. And so if you're not familiar with the Wyckoff theory, or I don't know what it's called exactly, but the Wyckoff trends or whatever, it's this guy back in the 1920s or something. He kind of came up with this whole theory of how the markets move, right? So this is about when a market tops for a certain stock, or I guess for the overall market even. And this can go on any time frame, right? This could be on a weekly time frame. It could be on a 1 minute time frame, right? It might show up on one time frame and not on another, is all I'm saying. And so it's not terribly important that you know what all of these abbreviations mean. UT is like up thrust. That's like sign of weakness or something, SOW. Anyways, though, basically, this is kind of his classic, distribution top, as in people are kind of taking profits, right? Like the smart money, quote unquote, is taking profits. And then so basically what Wyckoff is saying is that you have this run up here to a high, and then you come back and then you retest it and it kind of fails. More consolidation, and then boom, you punch through and you get a new high, and then it comes down, consolidates again, and then boom, you punch through again and you have another new high, so a third new high, and then it consolidates, and then finally kind of gives up the ghost here, and you come down, it consolidates, and then ultimately can drop down again. Now, the one thing that is confusing about this that I can't quite find online or find anywhere, frankly, is this correction here. I don't think this is all to scale necessarily. Like, this is basically saying it goes up to 100, tops out at 100 and then comes back down to 0. I don't think that's how this worked. To me, it'd be more like this would run up to 100, top out, and then it corrects back down to like $50, right? And then the whole thing starts over again. You would consolidate, boom, shoot up, go to 150, then it would correct back down to 100, and so on and so forth. So I haven't found anything like that definitively kind of describes like how far this corrects. I mean, maybe this could, if it's a bear trend, I guess it could go even farther. This could run up to like $500, and then this crashes down to like 300, and then it comes back up to 400, crashes again, and then you're down to 200, right? So I guess maybe that's why it's not specified, because it changes when you're in a bear or a bull market. All right, with that being said, just kind of take an overall snapshot of this pattern, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlay this price action onto some current tickers at different time frames right now. All right, so I'm going to start off with the most kind of obvious example, or the one that has the highest correlation in my opinion. So this is the Apple daily chart, and it's a line chart, obviously, not the candles. And so this is the current price action for Apple, right? So now let me overlay the Wyckoff price action, and boom, there we go. So now Wyckoff is in blue, Apple is in orange, and check it out. This is quite the lineup, right? I mean, this area here to the left, like this is almost exactly on until about right there. And then, even this area is pretty accurate. And once you get about here, it starts to deviate a little bit, but it's still, this has kind of a consolidation in here, just like this is a consolidation. And then boom, it goes back up. And now we're consolidating in here right now. And that's the current day price action. So according to Wyckoff, this could be topping out on the 1 day chart. So this could take a while to play out, right? This could start to go down and then down and down and down, right? Just something to think about. Like, I'm no expert on this. This is the first video I've ever done on Wyckoff, but you can't deny the correlation here. Like, this is pretty incredible, frankly. Like, it's almost spot on. Make of it whatever you want to take from it. But yeah, it's just something to be aware of, right? All right, let's move on to the next chart. All right, so we're looking at the plug chart here, and it's the 30-minute time frame. So just keep that in mind. This whole chart is only, a few weeks, couple months, I guess, from May until August. So May, June, July, August, I guess that's like 3 months, give or take. And so on the 30-minute time frame, this lines up pretty well. The overall pattern, it's not perfect, not as good as Apple in my opinion, but it's still pretty close, right? It's like you have this run up here, you have a peak, kind of comes down, consolidates, runs up again for just barely higher, right? And then consolidates again, and then hits another third high, right? And then sure enough, boom, goes down. And now we are consolidating in this area here. In theory, it's going to consolidate in this range. And then eventually, this price action is going to break up here, probably retest, and then boom, go higher. And this is where, on the down move of the Wyckoff correction here, on this move here, this is where I guess it's open to interpretation of how much it corrects, right? Because this corrects probably, comes all the way back down to this level here. So $24, give or take. And, it peaked out up here at like 36. So that's, roughly a 50% correction, give or take. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say on plug. Again, I'm no expert on exactly what this means, but the correlation is relatively high on this. All right, let's take a look at the next chart. All right, so this is the Tesla daily chart. And this one matches up pretty well, except, now this is only entering phase B here, right? So, we've had this is the COVID low here, and then it's had this run up, right? And now it's kind of corrected down. And now in theory, we're going to get a new high here that's slightly higher than this high here, which was about $900. Where Apple, it was all the way through, it made it all the way through all the phases, right? Well, Tesla here is just into phase B, and that's going up to a second high, comes down, then eventually goes to a third higher high. So, being on the daily chart, this could take a year or longer. Again, just something to keep an eye on. And, with Apple, maybe Apple's coming to a top, but then Tesla here is gearing up for a new all-time high, right? Again, just something to think about. All right, I've got one more chart here with NVDA. All right, so now this is NVIDIA on the daily chart, and this is similar to Tesla. However, this is the March 2021 low, not the COVID crash low. They've had this massive run up when they announced they were going to split their stock, and it topped out right here. They had their stock split, and now it's corrected down, gone back up almost exactly how the Wyckoff predicts. And then, now it could be consolidating in this area. Maybe it's going to come down a little more. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But in theory, either way, this isn't necessarily to scale. So even if it just consolidates, somewhere below here, if it consolidates there, ultimately makes a new high and then corrects down again, consolidates again somewhere, whether it's, below this or above this, we don't know. And then after it consolidates here, let's say, then it makes an ultimate third high, tops out, and then eventually consolidates and then heads down, right, for phase D and phase E. So again, this is the daily chart. So, this pattern here could take weeks to months to hit a new all-time high or even longer. And then, the rest of this going across to here and then down, that could be a year or 2 years or, it could be a long time, right? So again, just something to keep an eye on. I just found it a little uncanny how these line up, right? Especially the Apple one. The Apple one really lines up in my opinion. But again, just because, price action lines up with some technical analysis doesn't mean anything. Like you always have to take technical analysis with a huge grain of salt, because if something for sure worked, we would all be millionaires trading on the stock market, right? Because nothing is for sure. So all of these could line up. They could line up. You could throw in the MACD and RSI and Elliott wave and whatever, put them all together, and they all 4 or 5 together could still be wrong because it's technical analysis. It's all theoretical, right? Nothing is for sure. I don't know where I'm going with that, except it's just, oh yeah, I was saying it's just uncanny how these match up. And sure enough, they do. In my opinion, they match up quite well in some of these. So anyways, I just found it interesting. I'm going to keep trying to learn more about this Wyckoff theory. If you have any good, sources out there, I'd love to know them. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, if you got any feedback at all, I'd love to hear it. So, all right, thanks for tuning in. This is Saturday night, so I'm going to get going, and I will see you next week.